All right, it's around 9 p.m. on the 10th of September, and we're going to go over the weather, of course, Florence. But first, let's get to our local weather because we have nasty weather ongoing across the area for the second day in a row now, with easterly winds, and there's a high surf advisory in effect and a coastal flood advisory in effect. And there's already been some flooding in some low-lying areas on the South Shore, and this is just from the east winds. This has nothing to do with Florence. So wait till, even if Florence doesn't hit us directly, we are going to definitely see swells from it. And it's not going to be fun. So look at the radar right now. This rain has been dogging us all day long. It literally looks like it's going to stop. Because I had to have the pleasure of walking out in this nasty rain and drizzle all day long. It keeps looking like it's going to stop, and then it keeps forming just south of Long Island and just hitting us over and over and over and over again. So we're probably getting a lot of rain today. So I want to look at the rainfall amounts. Yeah, my umbrella broke. The wind broke it yesterday, which kind of sucks. But let's take a look at some current conditions here across the area. As soon as it loads, of course. Having problems with the computer or the internet. I don't know. The National Weather Service site is very slow. I don't know. You're just going to have to bear with me while I talk and while we wait for this to load here. I'm only going to be able to give you the observations for Farmingdale because I don't really want to spend too much time on this. This site doesn't really seem to want to load. So you can see it's 64 degrees, and we're going to look at the 3-day history here and see how much rain fell at Farmingdale. And that's all we're going to look at because you can see the Weather Service site is operating very slow. So let's see, 0.33. We probably got, I'm estimating, a little over a half an inch of rain. The rain hasn't been heavy, but it definitely is, definitely covering the ground. There's a lot of puddles out there. And you can see it's been in the low 60s all day long. So it's been cold and it's been damp. Anyway, enough about that. Let's get to this update because Florence is now a Category 4 hurricane. All right, so let's take a look at Florence right now and the latest track. It is taking it right into North Carolina and South Carolina. It may affect Virginia too, and this is gonna be devastating. It's gonna be absolutely devastating. So we have a Category 4. It strengthened very rapidly, like I said it was going to, once it's over that warm water. And I think this thing's going all the way to a Category 5, personally. But right now, it's Category 4 hurricane. Its location is 25.4 north, 61.1 west. Maximum sustained wind, 140 miles an hour. And its movement is west-northwest at 13 miles an hour. And I want to read the advisory, which they don't make easy to find in here, because where is it? There it is. They don't make it easy to find. They really don't. But anyway, here we go. Florence, growing in size and strength, hurricane and storm surge watches could be issued Tuesday morning. All right? So at 5 p.m., the eye of Hurricane Florence was located near latitude 25.4 north, longitude 61.1 west. Florence is moving toward the west-northwest near 13 miles an hour. This general motion, with an increase in forward speed, is expected during the next couple of days. A turn toward the northwest is forecast to occur late Wednesday night. On the forecast track, the center of Florence will move over the southwestern Atlantic Ocean between Bermuda and the Bahamas Tuesday and Wednesday and approach the coast of South Carolina or North Carolina on Thursday. Data from a NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft indicate the maximum sustained winds have increased to near 140 miles an hour with higher gusts. Florence is a Category 4 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson wind scale. Further strengthening is anticipated, and Florence is expected to be an extremely dangerous major hurricane through Thursday. Hurricane force winds extend outward to 40 miles an hour from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 150 miles from the center. The estimated minimum central pressure from the NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft data is 939 millibars. That is 27.73 inches, so that's pretty low. And it's going to strengthen, and the storm has also gotten larger, too, as a result. All right, so that is the statement on Florence. Of course, I can't forget about the other two storms out there, which I'll briefly mention, and then we got to go right to the satellite. All right, so we have Isaac, all right, Hurricane Isaac, which is going to move due west. It is going to hit these islands right here. I think they're called the Leeward Islands or whatever these islands are called. Sorry if I don't know the name of them. But it will not be a threat to us, but it will be a threat to land. It is a hurricane. Its maximum sustained winds are 75 miles an hour, so it's a minimal hurricane, and its movement is west at 14 miles an hour. I'm just going to go over these storms quickly. Then we have Helene. Also Helene, which will not affect land, fortunately goes out to sea, stays out in the North Atlantic, doesn't luckily it does not hit land because it is strengthened now. It's 105 miles an hour is maximum sustained wind, and its movement is west-northwest at 14 miles an hour. And its location is 14.9 north, 31.5 west. And if we look over here, I think that's a Category 3, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's a Category 2. Actually, I'm sorry, I read the... Yeah, 105 miles an hour. That's a Category 2, 105? I always thought it was a Category 3. I guess it doesn't start until 110. But it's going to probably become a Category 3. Anyway, I don't want to waste too much time on these other storms, but yes, we have 3 troublemakers in the Atlantic. The Atlantic is really getting active. All right, so let me get this over with first. We'll look at Helene. Actually, yep. Let's click that. Let's get that to loop. And again, I'm sorry. You're going to have to bear with me. I'm waiting for it to load, and it's being very slow. So this, again, is Helene. And it doesn't seem like I have complete data on Helene. But you can see it's got great form. I don't know why we're not getting it to load. Finally it loaded. It's ridiculous. Alright. I'm sorry, but I have no patience for slow... I don't know if it's the internet or the computer. I don't know what it is. Maybe these sites are getting a lot of traffic too. It's probably... But this is Helene. Very healthy. You can take a look at the convection here. Very nice convection here. But luckily this thing is not going to be a threat to anyone. So that's why we're going to get that over with first. Then we have Isaac, which is a mess. We'll just briefly go over Isaac, which is a mess. It doesn't look very well organized at all. There it is. So, you know what? I'm not even going to wait for it. There you go. See, it's not very organized. I'm not even going to wait. I'm sorry, because we have this Hurricane Florence that we got to watch, and that's the main thing that we really have to watch. I don't want to spend too much time on these other storms, especially because the site is very slow, probably due to all the traffic that is on it. So just have to bear with me while we deal with the spinning circle, while we wait, while we wait for Florence to emerge here. Again, sorry about these delays. There it is. So we're waiting for it to emerge. It's like loading frame by frame. It's ridiculous. You know, wait till it gets closer to land. Wait till these sites are really going to slow down. Finally. All right. Finally, we have it loaded. So here we go. Very, very healthy circulation. Look at that eye. It's perfect. The outflow is perfect. The eye is perfect. That eye wall, where those... Look at that eye wall. That eye wall is just vicious. 140 miles an hour winds in that eye wall. One thing the storm has gotten is it's gotten bigger in size. And I think it will actually grow in size as it moves toward the east coast. What a monster this storm is, for sure. And what can I tell you? This is going to probably become a Category 5. I think it will probably at some point become Category 5 because it's going to move over even warmer water. I mean, the pace at which it strengthened was amazing, and it's probably going to have another pulse tomorrow, and that might bring it up to a Category 5. And I want to explain to you why this hurricane is going up to a Category 5, because we're going to look at the water temperatures next. So here you go, 3 storms. Here is Florence, here is Isaac, and here is Helene. 3 hurricanes, and you can see that easterly fetch that's actually coming in off here. So we're looking at earth.nullschool.net, and I just want to change it to the ocean temperature anomalies. So you're going to explain to you why this storm is going to explode. Alright, here we go. Take a look at all this really above normal, where you see that bright yellow. The water temperature is close to maybe 8 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. So this is water temperatures that are going to easily, as it moves closer to the coast, it's actually going to gain strength even more. And that's why I think there is a possibility this thing could make landfall as a Category 5. It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me if that happens with this really warm water that we're dealing with here in this area. It's really very, very bad what's going on. We're on track to seeing a major natural disaster on the East Coast. And it's a very, very serious situation. Alright, so now it's time to look at the models and see what the latest GFS 18Z run has as this storm tracks to the west and west-northwest. So GFS has already been underestimating the central pressure because it had 939 millibars, and then GFS has it at 957. So it's already stronger than the models have said that it's going to be. Alright, so we're going to be watching this storm approach and gain strength as this approaches. And you see there's a high pressure it's trying to build in over here, and we've got the stall front that's over us. And that stall front is always a concern. So let's see where the GFS takes this. It looks like it's deepening, continuing to deepen as it approaches North Carolina, and then it takes it. Oh, it takes it just at the shore. And look at that, 930. This is going to be a Category 5. All right, when this thing. But then what it does, it looks like it stalls it out right over the Outer Banks, or just offshore of the Outer Banks, and it just sits there. And this is the concern. But at least with this run, it's sitting more offshore, which is bad because it can strengthen, but good because it's not moving inland. And it's just going to sit there and then move retrograde to the southwest. And this thing is going to be, and then make a landfall right over. Look at that! Wow, it's going to torture them all weekend long, lashing them, and then it's going to come ashore on Monday, early Monday morning into. It looks like North Carolina, maybe Wilmington. That area is just going to get destroyed. This whole, and then then again, it's going to move really slowly, and then move up the coast. So yeah, this is a very disturbing run here. And then I mean, by the time we get here, it wouldn't be a strong, it wouldn't be a hurricane probably, but it could still bring a lot of rain and wind. And then I'm not even going to get into that right now because we got to watch this storm. So that is what that run says. So let's take a look at the winds because the winds are going to be absolutely insane on this run. So let's take a look at the wind. And the winds are going to be absolutely insane. Category 5 at least. Oh, see, we got to wait again. We're having, the site is running slow because of the volume that's on it, so we have to kind of wait for things to load. But by Thursday, you can see there is the wind lashing. That dark color there, that is winds over 100 miles an hour. I mean, the scale on the model only goes that high, so it's past the scale on the model. And it looks like the Outer Banks would get lashed with the western eye wall there Friday, and then it moves out to sea, and it's still over that warm water, so it's going to keep strengthening. This thing's going to a Category 5. I really think it's going to a Category 5. And we could see winds. We could see the strongest landfalling hurricane ever on the East Coast, as far as the winds. I don't know what the record was, but I'm not talking about Florida. I'm talking about this far up on the East Coast. But this thing is going to have high winds that are going to destroy everything. 909 millibar low, winds well in excess of 150 miles an hour. And then this thing finally comes on shore in Wilmington. And Wilmington and this general area here, even up to Raleigh, this area is going to get destroyed. It's going to get destroyed with this track. And then it moves up the East Coast, sort of on the I-95 corridor. And I mean, by the time it gets here, we're only dealing with, tropical storm force winds. Yeah, that could be very bad. That's a very bad track, and this is the problem, and it stalls it out. And this is all because of the jet stream, as I explained to you before. I'm not going to explain it again. I can explain it till I'm blue in the face, I guess. But anyway, that is what the GFS has. Now I want to see what the 24-hour rainfall was, because this thing's going to bring a lot of rain. It looks like the heaviest rain stays just offshore. And then, we got to wait for it to load here, but there you go. That bright yellow, that's 2 feet of rain. Could be 2-3 feet of rain in this area. And then that heavy rain actually moves up. And then we're dealing with 5 to 6. So there could be risk of flooding all the way into the mid-Atlantic and even over our area as this thing moves up the coast, what's left of it. This is, again, according to the GFS run. All right, so I want to now look at the Euro run. So we'll look at the Euro now. Alright, and we will look at the Euro. So the Euro track is different. Alright, So again, we have an agreement on getting near the Carolinas, but after it gets close to the Carolinas, the models diverge. So Thursday, this thing is starting to make an approach to Wilmington's around Wilmington, I guess would be ground zero for this, and then it moves in and sits over North Carolina, and moves very, very slowly, and that's very bad for the right. It actually goes into North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, and then just kind of dissipates. And then there's another storm that it forms off the East Coast. I'm not sure what that is, but it's forming something over there. Yeah, that's what the Euro has. And now we go to the NAM because it's getting. Oh yeah, the Canadian. I got to do the Canadian too. All right, we'll do the Canadian, which no one really wants to see, but we have to do it. We have to do it just for the sake of doing it. So let's look at the Canadian here. And this Canadian here, oh, we gotta wait. It's definitely gonna be stronger than that. Canadian kinda has it stolen like the GFS does, right off the Outer Banks there. And then landfalling, and then making a left-hand turn and landfalling somewhere around the Virginia, North Carolina border, it looks like, and going up by Washington, D.C. So that's different tracks. So like I said, there's different. Oh, there's the other storm that it forms. So it's crazy, but when you got water this warm, this is what happens, you know. All right, let's go to the NAM. Let's go to the NAM and let's see what the NAM has. So we're going to look at, again, this is the 18Z run. And again, we're having problems. Either you have to wait for all these boxes to turn white or to load. There's just a lot of traffic on the site because of, you know, what's going on. But anyway, this is the 18Z NAM. You can see it's making an approach Thursday. The NAM takes it. NAM seems to agree with the GFS that it's going to kind of stall just off the Outer Banks there and sit there. And if that center stays over water, that thing is going to just keep its strength or even getting stronger. So that is what is going on with Florence. Very dangerous storm. There's a lot of evacuations. People are, you know, stocking up on things. The stores are already wiped out in a lot of this area here in the Carolinas. And there's still, you know, it's still a risk tower area. I'm not going to say we're out of the woods yet. I'm not going to say that because things can change. Things can always change. And we're not completely out of the woods yet with this. All right. But anyway, we're going to get into our area and look at the kind of weather we're going to have for the next couple of days. All right, let's get to the last part of this video of the weather for the weather we are going to be dealing with here. And we're going to be dealing with the chance of rain. Not quite as much tomorrow as today, but there's still going to be rain. This is the NAM, 12-kilometer NAM. And then Wednesday, same thing, because we got this front that's literally stuck over us. And this stall front is going to be a real problem for us. You know, not only does it keep us in the clouds, but it keeps us damp with the chance of rain as well. And speaking of dampness, we'll look at the dew points. We're using the NAM on this run. All right, we're using the NAM. Unfortunately, you know what? I'm sorry. The site is loading too slowly for me to provide that for you. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but we're having problems loading the models. So again, due to high traffic on the site, you know, right now I'm really focused on Florence. So you know, just expect the weather to be gloomy the next couple of days. Florence is the main weather subject, and here we go. And here's something that's trying to get itself together too in the Gulf too, that might wind up forming into something as well. But here we have Florence, Isaac, and Helene. And let's just zoom in here. Let's try that. Just to take a look at Florence, because again, Florence just looks terrifying. It looks terrifying. You can see it's just perfect circulation, perfect eye, great outflow. Nothing's going to stop this thing from strengthening further. Isaac here, which is kind of a mess, and then you have Helene, which is a large storm in area. It's actually a larger storm than Florence. Yeah, it has kind of a big eye too, near the Cape Verdes. So that's going to conclude this weather update. Mostly the weather update's going to be focusing on Florence now. not our weather so much, unless and once it gets closer, we can talk about how the impacts are to our area. But generally, this is the main thing. I know we're not going to have any nice weather for a while. I know, and it sucks to be stuck in these clouds. But it could be worse. We could be getting a direct hit with this, and hopefully we don't. But unfortunately, somebody is, and it's going to be devastating. Anyway, that's it for this weather update. Thank you for watching.